If your content isn't activating your clients' emotions, they're not going to buy from you. Now, we've worked with hundreds of health and fitness coaches over the last 9 years, and the difference between them getting leads and clients from their content versus not is, can you actually make someone feel something? Because if you can't activate an emotion, they're not going to change their behavior. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through these 5 different stages of where your clients are at and how you can create content that speaks to them so that they actually do something. They comment, they send a DM, they get on a sales call with you, etc. Because you've probably been posting a lot of content. You're probably consistent, right? You're putting in the work, you're trying to learn this whole social media thing. Maybe even you're making a couple $1,000s a month, but you just feel like your content isn't hitting home. We're gonna fix that here today. So let's start with number 1 of 5. So I call this the client journey, which is basically understanding that your client goes through a couple different things. They have the things that they've tried in the past, right? The different things that they've tried to get better results with their health or with their fitness. We're gonna talk about their past and what they've tried. Now, we also wanna talk about their current situation, right? What they've tried and where they're at right now. Basically, where they're at currently and why it's important to talk about that in your content. We're then gonna be talking about the solution, the next step that they need to take. We're going to talk about the results that they will get if they go through this solution. And we're going to talk about the extra surprises that they get at the end of the day when they go through this. What this does is it helps you situate yourself as someone that understands where they're coming from, is really deeply relatable to where they're currently at. You know exactly what the best next step is that's different than what they've tried in the past. You know the results that they want and how to get it, and you even have certainty that you know the extra surprises and the fun things that come alongside with it. So let's go through these one at a time. The first type of content that you should be creating, and I would probably say this weekly, is content around what they've tried in the past, right? What they've tried and failed at. What is giving them doubts and what has fears. So basically the emotions we want to talk about here is doubt and fears, because a lot of you, for example, let's make this really relatable. A lot of you have tried different things in social media, online, to get clients, and it hasn't worked. Maybe a lot of you have just tried posting and hoping, and guess what? Because you don't have new followers coming in, you're not getting clients. Maybe a lot of you have tried running challenges or workshops, or maybe even some of you have tried meta ads to like VSLs or like email, and it hasn't worked. And you're really frustrated at that. And guess what? Because those things haven't worked for you, you don't want to try them again. You want to try something new and something different and something frankly exciting, which we'll get to in a little bit. So the first thing you want to do is you want to create content around what they've tried in the past and why it hasn't worked. Why do you create content around this? Because here's the case. If you call out to your ideal clients and you're like, hey, I know you've tried this, and it hasn't worked for you, guess what? Immediately they're going to assume you know that they've tried those things, and therefore you're not going to sell them on the same thing. You're going to sell them on something different and unique and new. So you calling out all the things that they have tried is going to be beneficial because it's going to subconsciously plant in their brain that you have something else, something different. And you really want to hit on this because guess what? People don't want to go backwards in life. I don't want to go backwards to making less money. I don't go backwards to all these different things that I used to be, the person I used to be. And when you call them out and you're like, hey, we're not going to go back there. This is why this didn't work for you. And this is why we have better things for you. That is powerful. So you want to create number 1 content around the past attempts, why it didn't work, and what's a better way. Then the second type of content we want to create is around current situation, their current situation, which is basically the pain that they're in, the frustration that they're having, and why they're even skeptical about where they're at. So this is the second type of content. So this is more like you're hitting home what a day in their life looks like and what they're feeling here today. And you need to do this because if people don't think that you understand what's going on today, they're not going to be willing to think about your solution. Because if you don't understand them, how can you actually help them? So this is all about having content that understands people and calls them out. Basically being like, hey, this is what you're feeling today. This is why you're like frustrated. This is the pain that you're in right now. This is why you feel like these things haven't worked for you. Basically calling out all those thoughts that are going on in their head. Again, we're trying to activate with emotion, right? So you're really pushing some buttons on these people. But basically, this is the current kind of content. So you're going to create content that talks about what they've tried in the past and why it didn't work. But then you're also going to create content around their current situation and basically helping them understand that you understand it. Because a lot of us as coaches, We want to feel understood before we trust somebody. This is a big thing. We want to make sure that our leads and prospects trust us. If you cannot explain their current situation just as well as they can, they're not going to trust you because they don't think that you know them and therefore know what's best for them. And so you want to make sure that you can absolutely clearly state what's going on currently so that they will trust you and go to that next step. So that's the second type of content that you want to do. You want to do past content, you want to do current content, and then we want to do the next step, solution content. This is where you are talking about a new / different way of doing things. I love to compare the solution content with the past content, basically being like, this is what you've tried, and this is why it doesn't work, and this is why you need to try this. I love pairing up these types of content. So solution content is all about sharing that there's a new and different way and a better way of doing all of this. And guess what it does? The emotion that it activates is hope. That there is hope, that there is something to believe in, there is something that can actually help them. And you want to position this as a root solution. And if you're a health or fitness coach, I would also recommend that you have a solution that actually is a root solution. Because a lot of people are trying all these different things and it's like, hey, the reason that those things didn't work is because it doesn't address the root cause. It doesn't get down to the real nitty gritty of like what actually works. So you want to position that as new, different, it's the root solution, and you want to inspire hope with people, okay? So I love solution content, and this is how you can set yourself aside as like being unique, standing out in the marketplace. Because if you don't have, basically, if you aren't able to show people that, hey, this is what you've tried, but this is a better way, you're not going to stand out in the marketplace, you're just going to blend in. So solution content is important so that you can set yourself apart, and you can also help people see that there's a different or a better way of doing this. So that's the third type of content. The fourth type of content is simply results content, right? Results content, which oftentimes, results content can be like social proof or testimonial, but this is where you blatantly talk about the results that your clients are getting and also the results that your clients want to get, right? So this is where you are activating the emotion of joy, of people getting the result, being so happy about it, being so pumped up, just congratulating them, that you want to really exude joy. You want to talk about the tangible and intangible results. And you also want to talk about timelines, like as far as like this person that I worked with, they went from here to here and this kind of timeline. It just helps people have a bit of an idea of like, where could I go in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or 12 months? And so we want to have results content, because results, frankly, at the end of the day, here's the case. If you would tell people, hey, like this is what you've tried in the past, this is where you're at currently, this is what you want to deal with, and here's my solution. If you just had those 3 types of contents, but you didn't have results content, people would be like, cool, you know where I've come from, where I'm at right now, you even have this cool, unique solution. But if there's not real results attached to it or specific results, they ain't gonna buy from you. So results content is a really great way of doing it. The final piece, this content I love, is what we call surprise content. Surprise content is basically, what are the extra benefits and surprises you're gonna get after you get these results? So basically you want to talk about like, hey, once you get to this place with your health or your business or whatever it is, here's some things that you're going to get as well that are amazing that you probably haven't even thought of. The reason you want to do this is it makes the value of what you sell higher, but also because you're explaining to them things that they haven't even thought of, it subconsciously anchors that you know how to get people these results, and you have done it because you know these extra secret benefits that they haven't even thought of. So it provides certainty and confidence in your ideal clients. And so it is going to get excitement. That's mainly the emotion that we're talking about here. It's going to provide certainty, and it's going to also future pace them, right? Future pace them that like, hey, I can work with this person and this is where I can be in the next couple of months. So these are the 5 different pieces of content that are going to activate emotions and activate people to actually do something different, which is chat with you, comment, all those different things. So here's what I want to do, folks. Now, if you have, basically, I got 2 things for you. Free things for you, okay? I'm not even gonna sell you anything right here. Number 1, I have 5 content prompts, okay? I am going to, anyone that comments down below the word prompt, I'll send you 5 content prompts that will help you. Basically, they're kind of like plug and play. You can just like grab them, put some of your stuff in there, post them. I have some content prompts that are gonna get you more leads. So go ahead and comment down below that if you want that. But then I'm gonna link a video down below in the description. This is a small part of how we help health and fitness coaches get to their first 10K, 20K month. And I have a video down below that goes over our entire method, our loop method, that is going to help you understand exactly what are all the steps you need to get to a $10,000 or a $20,000 month with your health and fitness coaching business. So comment down below the word prompt if you just want the prompts and you want to try them out and see how they work for you. If you want a bit more of like a specific strategy to make the whole business grow as a whole, just check out the video down below in the description, and we'll be seeing you folks in the next video.